Mamta Kafle Bhatt was 28 years old. She had moved across the world from Nepal to the suburbs of Northern Virginia, chasing the familiar dream: an education, a career, a family. She worked as a pediatric nurse. She had a baby daughter. She had a life still under construction, with foundations strong enough to build something lasting. Her mother, thousands of miles away in Nepal, spoke to her often by video call. It was a lifeline across continents, a ritual of family that migration never eases. On July 29, 2024, the two women spoke again. Her mother remembers Mamta looking tired, but smiling and hopeful, talking about the baby. It was the kind of ordinary call that means everything in hindsight. It was the last time anyone outside the house saw Mamta alive. After July 29th, silence settled like smoke. Mamta didn't call her mother the next day. She didn't turn up for her shifts at the pediatric unit. Colleagues waited. Nurses know each other's rhythms. They knew something was wrong. By August 2nd, hospital administrators called the police. A welfare check was ordered at Mamta's home in Manassas Park. Naresh Bhatt answered the door. He is Mamta's husband and father of her baby. He told officers everything was fine. Mamta had gone to visit relatives in New York, or maybe Texas. He wasn't sure. Mamta's family in Nepal said that was impossible. When pressed, Naresh changed his story. Perhaps Mamta had left for work and he hadn't seen her since August 2nd. Maybe that was what happened. The contradictions mounted, but what alarmed detectives most was his refusal. Naresh would not report his wife missing. He waited until August 5th, 5 days after she'd last spoken with her mother, to file a report. Those days of delay matter. In missing person cases, every hour is a vein of gold. Leads cool, evidence decays, and witnesses forget. By the time Naresh reported his wife missing, detectives were already suspicious. Mamta's clothes were untouched in the closet, her personal items, makeup, jewelry, ID, everything still at home. The refrigerator was full, like she had just shopped for another week. And the baby, less than a year old, was still there, crying for a mother who didn't return. This didn't feel like absence, it felt like erasure. A week went by and detectives returned with a search warrant. They went through the house while a nervous Naresh stood by. There was blood in the bedroom. There was blood in the bathroom. Tests confirmed it was Mamta's DNA. Forensics concluded it wasn't a nosebleed, not an accident, not a nick from shaving. It was evidence of violence. Prosecutors would later say the evidence pointed to something worse, that Mamta had been dismembered. With no body recovered, blood became the body. It told investigators what had happened, even if it couldn't show them where the remains were. The discovery of the blood turned the case from concern to homicide, and in mid-August, charges were filed. Naresh Bhatt, age 33, was arrested for concealing a dead body. Soon the charges escalated, first-degree murder and defiling a corpse. In Prince William County, Virginia, where murders are not everyday news, the arrest sent shockwaves through the community. Reporters filled the courthouse steps. Cameras snapped as detectives marched Naresh inside. And all the while, Mamta's body was still missing.
In the case of missing Manassas Park mother Mamta Kafle Bhatt, it is good to be with you. I'm Simone D'Alba. Just about an hour ago, we learned that Bhatt's husband Naresh has been charged with her murder. That's according to brand new Virginia court filings. And Rafa, police just told you that they're holding a press conference coming up at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, that's right. Tonight, Mamta's loved ones tell me this is what they have been waiting for since Naresh was arrested in August. Every time I asked them what justice for them looked like, they would tell me a murder charge. And in the last half hour, Prince William County Commonwealth's Attorney Amy Ashworth told us today a grand jury indicted Naresh Bhatt with first-degree murder and physically defiling a dead human body, 2 felony charges. Now, initially, Naresh was only charged with concealing a dead body back when he was arrested. Court documents paint a gruesome picture of what allegedly happened inside the couple's Manassas Park home. Investigators say a dead body was dragged from room to room, and for several days, Naresh was caught on video disposing of garbage bags throughout Northern Virginia. Naresh's defense attorney has criticized the case against his client, saying investigators are missing the primary evidence, Mamta's body. Now, we're expecting more information in the next hour as officials hold a news conference at Manassas Park Police Headquarters. We will be streaming this news conference live on our streaming channel, WUSA 9+, and of course on our website. Naresh's trial for concealing a dead body was scheduled to start next week, but tonight the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office tells us Naresh is due back in court tomorrow morning, and then a new trial will be set. We, of course, will stay on top of it and bring you the latest developments. Please stay on WUSA 9+.
Naresh Bhatt was charged with murder. But before his arrest, Naresh had played a different role, grieving. On local TV, he gave an interview. His voice trembled as he spoke of suffering. "My baby and I are suffering," he said. He pleaded for Mamta's return. He gestured like a man broken by loss. But behind the curtain, police had already started tracking his movements.
I know some people got pretty upset with you today. What is your message to them?
Just like, be calm, help. Our main focus is help finding my wife and my baby's mom, and then cooperate with the police, and then, just go in a positive way.
Do you have any idea where she could be at this point?
Yeah, wherever, I have doubted, I already, personally, I carry my baby, and then personally I went there, and then I already take a look.
Where would that be?
Falls Church, and then other places, yeah.
You mentioned to me on the phone that you're the one suffering tonight. You mentioned...
Yeah, I'm the sufferer one. I'm the sufferer. My baby and then myself, we are suffering the most.
What do you say to her if she's watching this right now?
If she is watching, come back, whatever is the issue, we can fix it.
What has been going on the last couple days, weeks?
Yeah, it's been very terrible time, we are just, my baby and then myself, we are just waiting minute and second, every minute and second, just waiting to get the, I don't know how to explain.
How are you doing?
I don't know. I'm frustrating, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't normally sleep together at night?
Oh, we do sometimes, if we have work, sometimes, if we feel more relaxed, we go, there is 2 separate areas.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then sometimes, one sleep on the floor, and then sometimes, another person sleep on the bed.
Police came to the home, and what did they say to you? Because you didn't initially report her missing. Why is that?
On the next day,
Okay.
when on the first day when she did not come at home in the evening, and then I check around, usually where she go for hang around and then stay for with the friends. Just I check from the outside, and then I thought she went before, something like that. So I just came back and then sleep with the baby, and then next day once I wake up, little bit later, I was working in the kitchen with the babies, and then police say she's not at work, she's at home. Then I realized very seriously, then I talk to police, and then I say stay here, just talk to police, and then why she did not at work, this and that, and then I really start, and then I say I'm gonna file it.
Receipts and evidence told a story different from that Naresh was trying to portray. On July 30th, just one day after Mamta's final call with her mother, Naresh purchased knives from Walmart. On July 31st, he bought cleaning supplies, Lysol, Febreze, other solvents. Neighbors later told police that they saw Naresh carrying heavy trash bags and disposing of them at odd hours. Detectives would also uncover digital evidence. Naresh's Google history revealed searches too grotesque to dismiss. How long does it take to get married after your spouse dies? What happens if a spouse disappears in Virginia? It was the digital fingerprint of premeditation. And again, like in the case we talked about a couple weeks ago, The Art of Murder, I am surprised that these killers, alleged killers, for safety purposes, have such a lack of awareness of their digital footprint. They use their credit cards. They Google things on their phones. They buy things in stores with CCTV cameras. It surprises me that people still do that in this day and age, but I'm glad they do. Sometimes it's all the police have to go on. Forensic teams described the Bhatt home as one of the most disturbing scenes they've ever processed, not because of spectacle, but because of what the traces implied. Calculation, concealment, cold-blooded planning. Police Chief Mario Lugo later told reporters, quote, "From the beginning, we believe she was murdered, and soon the charges confirmed that belief. By late August, Naresh Bhatt stood accused of first-degree murder, concealment of a body, and defiling a corpse. But there was no corpse, and in the justice system, the absence of a body becomes both the defense's lifeline and the family's torment." Cases without bodies are rare, but not unheard of. Prosecutors in Virginia know how difficult they can be. Without remains, every other piece of evidence must become the body. The blood, the knives, the cleaning supplies, the search history, and the lies. And Naresh's lies unraveled quickly. First, he told police that Mamta had gone to visit relatives in New York or Texas. None existed. Then he said that she'd left for work, but her hospital confirmed she never came in. He delayed reporting her missing for 5 days. So he's making up family members. He's lying about her going to work when clearly that could be confirmed or denied. And every contradiction painted a picture more damning than words ever could. Outside the courthouse, the community rallied. Mamta's friends, colleagues, and supporters gathered with signs. They demanded answers and they prayed. They held vigils for a woman whose body had not yet been found, but whose memory refused to vanish. Mamta's colleagues described her as a dedicated nurse, beloved by children and parents alike. Mamta was the nurse who stayed late to comfort a frightened child, the one who checked in after shifts, the one who seemed to give more than she had. Her patients' families remembered her as gentle, patient, reassuring. Mamta's family in Nepal described her as devoted, ambitious, and deeply loved. And her own baby, still in diapers, was too young to understand what was happening, too young to remember her mother's smile or her voice or the ordinary rhythms of being held. Sometimes I write these things in my office alone, forgetting I'm going to have to read them on camera. And I get very emotional. That is the sharpest cruelty in crimes like this, a life erased, not only from the present, but from the memory of the child left behind. By September 2024, court documents revealed the mountain of evidence the prosecutors had gathered. Digital files, surveillance footage, receipts, forensics, over 1.5 terabytes of data. The defense pushed back. Attorneys argued that discovery was overwhelming, that it was unfair to provide so much in systems that only allowed single computer access. So the defense attorneys asked for delays, and those delays were granted. Mamta's case, which had begun as a desperate search in August of 2024, was now a marathon of filings, continuances, and hearings. The trial, first imagined for this month, September of 2025, was pushed into the distance. Then further still, October 2026 is now the new date for trial. 2 years after Mamta's death, 2 years for her family to wait for justice, 2 years for her daughter to grow without her. And all the while, the body remained missing. Mamta Bhatt's assumed murder is the kind of case that forces us to stare at the cracks in our systems. The cracks in housing security that can isolate young mothers far from family. The cracks in relationships where one partner controls the narrative, maybe the money. The cracks in justice that allow delays to drag on while families suffer. And above all, the cracks that remain the most unbearable, the absence of the mother, the absence of her body. Without it, closure is impossible. Without it, rituals of mourning cannot be complete. And the silence stretches on. But the blood still speaks, and the receipts speak, and the searches speak. Together, they tell a story that is too heavy to ignore. Forensics is a language of fragments, tiny samples, microscopic traces, stains invisible until the right light reveals them. In the Bhatt home, investigators spoke that language fluently. In the bedroom, patterns in blood told a story of violence, not a slip, not an accident, but a struggle. In the bathroom, there were more stains, wiped surfaces that fluoresced under chemical reagents. The ghost of blood lingers even after bleach. DNA confirmed what absence already implied. It was Mamta's blood. Prosecutors would later say she had been dismembered. No body recovered, no remains to bury, just the awful suggestion of what happened in that small suburban home. In homicide investigations, detectives are trained to look for three things: motive, means, and opportunity. For Naresh, prosecutors argued all three were present. The motive? A crumbling marriage. Domestic arguments overheard by neighbors. A husband frustrated, controlling, unpredictable. Means: the knives purchased from Walmart on July 30th, one day after Mamta's last video call with her mother. Opportunity: the days that followed when Mamta never arrived at work, never called family, never appeared again. And layered within all of it are those chilling Google searches, questions typed into a keyboard that betrayed both thought and planning. And why is he asking how long does it take to get married after a spouse dies? Questions like that sound less like curiosity and more like rehearsal. Investigators also tracked Naresh's movements after Mamta's disappearance. They learned that he had purchased those cleaning supplies on July 31st, and then the neighbors reported seeing him taking out those heavy trash bags. One witness said he appeared nervous and evasive, avoiding eye contact. Each detail on its own might mean little, but together they painted a portrait of concealment. And prosecutors would later argue that concealment is, in itself, evidence of guilt. Then there was the interview. Naresh stood before the cameras, clutching his infant daughter, voice trembling as he told reporters he was suffering. He called Mamta's disappearance a tragedy. He asked for her return and played the role of the devastated husband. It's always chilling to me when we see someone go on camera and act this way, knowing that they have done those Google searches, purchased knives, purchased cleaning supplies. You know what I mean? Let alone committed the act. The dissonance between words and actions become very chilling for me. It's not just deceit and murder, it's a performance, like a play staged for the cameras, even while the evidence piles up behind closed doors. And these people don't seem to think about what's going to happen when we look back on those interviews and realize the entire thing was fake. The law, however, is cautious. It is one thing to suspect, another to prove. In Virginia, as in much of the United States, a body is not required for a murder conviction, but prosecutors know it can be very difficult to prosecute without a body. The defense can always whisper those possibilities. Maybe she left willingly. Maybe she vanished. Maybe, just maybe, she's still alive. And jurors are human. They long for certainty. They crave the undeniable, and absence of a body can create doubt. But here, prosecutors would argue the absence itself was evidence. Mamta did not and would not abandon her child. She would not walk out mid-shift, mid-life. And they claimed that the amount of blood proved she could not. The knives, the Google searches, the cleaning supplies, they all seem to be echoes of a story that ended with murder. No body prosecutions have precedence. In 2008, prosecutors in Virginia secured a conviction in the murder of Bonnie Hurst, despite never finding her remains. Across the U.S., similar cases have been won where digital trails and forensic evidence replace the body. But each case carries risk. Jurors must be convinced beyond reasonable doubt by fragments and patterns, by the absence of the one thing they expect to see. And in Mamta's case, the challenge will define the trial scheduled for October 2026. Mamta's family, still in Nepal, has been left to grieve from afar. Her mother told reporters she couldn't understand how her daughter, so full of life, a new mother herself, could be taken this way. Mamta's siblings have spoken of grief that feels like a wound with no healing. They can't even bury her. There's no grave to visit, no ashes, no body to have rituals for. Those rituals, especially in Nepali culture, give shape to grief. They create closure. And without them, grief becomes endless, unmoored, without compass. And that is what Mamta's family has been forced to endure. Every court delay is another twist of the knife. Every passing day, another reminder that closure remains out of reach. The community in Virginia has carried its share as well. Colleagues from the pediatric unit remember Mamta as a nurse who gave everything to her patients. At vigils, friends have lit candles and held signs with her face on it. They spoke her name aloud, refusing to let Mamta disappear in silence. They are trying to think of the family and the baby. Justice here is not going to be only for Mamta. It is for the child she left behind. The baby will one day grow up and learn the truth of what happened in 2024. Inside the courtroom, lawyers argue over terabytes of evidence. Tons of data dumped into a system so cumbersome they claimed it was impossible to review it properly. The amount of information is the reason the judge has agreed to the delays. Trials are not only about evidence, they're about narrative. The prosecution will tell the story of a wife betrayed, a mother murdered, a husband who tried to erase her and failed. The defense will tell the story of uncertainty, of absence, of the possibility, however unlikely, that Mamta is not dead. And 12 jurors will sit between those two stories. In their hands will rest the weight of a life already lost. In the end, Dark Hearts isn't only about crime. It's about the lives behind people like Mamta Bhatt. She was a nurse, a mother, and a daughter who called her own mother in Nepal every day. Her absence is not just a hole in a case file. It's a hole in a family, a community, and a child's life. The daughter will grow up and the trial will come. The verdict will be spoken, but Mamta's body may never be found. And that is the silence that stays the loudest. I'll close with what we know. We know that no one has seen Mamta since she disappeared. Her credit cards have not been used. Her cell phone has not been used. She has not contacted anyone. We do know that there is a lot of information not yet released to the public. We know there are forensics involved, and we know that the trial will come next year. Everything else is silence. Silence where Mamta's voice should be. Silence where her daughter's laughter should have been answered by her mother's. Silence where a body should be laid to rest. But silence can also be evidence, and in that silence, we often hear the truth. I want to send love to the people who are missing Mamta. Please know that we are thinking of you. We'll be watching the trial, and I will bring you an update when we know the outcome. Thank you for joining me on Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. This is my podcast. It's on Apple and Spotify. I post brand new episodes every Monday and Wednesday. There's a playlist on my channel entitled Fundraisers. If you watch this short video, it will tell you how you can help us. $5, $10, raise money to donate to police departments that have cold case DNA kits in storage that have not been tested. We're trying to help solve some cold crimes. I hope you're well, my friends. I appreciate each and every one of you. I want to give a special thank you to my patrons. Stay safe and be kind to each other, and I will see you next time on Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. Bye.